Yo, what's good, my boys? I want to welcome y'all back to another episode of Stains World. And today we doing a collab with my boy, Watch It Ralph. Little movie-based contest, but I'm going to tell you more about it once I hit his crib. Let's go. Yo, what's up, my people? I'm here with...
Yeah, Watch It Ralph.
Yes,
right
sir.
here, Play It Ralph.
And what we doing today?
We're about to eat some of the hibachi.
Hibachi. And what else?
Basically, we're about to talk about movies and bash a few. Now, I try to be positive, but there's a few movies that need some bashing, and we're going to be focusing on the worst movies possible to try to entertain y'all, because trust me, there's a lot out there and they deserve it. So
yeah, and we gonna make sure that y'all not watching these corny booty flicks. You feel me? And wait, I heard from a reliable source that you're low-key a movie expert.
Well, yeah, that's basically what I basically been studying all my life movies, loving them, always wanted to get into films. So, I talk about movies on my channel, Play It Ralph. I play games, but on Watch It Ralph, I break down movies, shows, everything you could think of. So, what I'm saying? I consider myself a connoisseur on the whole thing,
Yes, sir, connoisseur, I love it. But all right, my boys, we about to go get the food, and we're gonna be right back to hit you with that beautiful content. Let's get it.
Hibachi.
Sir, look what we working with. What you got,
some
buddy?
of that steak and cheese, hibachi.
Yes, sir. What you
About to
got?
get
What
it
you
in.
got?
I got that steak and shit, you know what I'm saying?
Look at the crab rangoons, man.
Oh,
Look
get
at
it in
them
right there. It's
Jones.
calling you.
Yes, sir.
Yummy.
Yes, sir. We about to go in, and then we gonna go straight to that video. Catch y'all soon.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, my boys? We're here at...
Watch It Ralph Studio.
And we're gonna be ranking some of the worst movies in our opinion.
Now, if you want to watch part 2, you can check it out on my channel, Watch It Ralph. But of course, right now we're repping over here in Stains World.
Stains World. Watch It Ralph. Come on, we back at it, man. Live. So what's the first movie you think we should talk about?
Now, I don't know if you want to go into comic books, you want to go into like a horror. I don't know. It's up to you.
Let's start off with the comic book.
Okay. Now, basically, you had mentioned one, so I definitely want to get into the first one you mentioned, because you had told me behind the scenes, which is Fan Four Stick, of course known as Fantastic Four, the one that came out, the most recent piece of crap that came out. Now, why is it that you wanted to talk about that?
Well, I hated it for many reasons, but one of the reasons that I didn't like is how they did my guy, The Thing. Bro, The Thing, like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember if it was 2004, 2005, but those first era of Fantastic Four movies, they, like, I'm not gonna say that version of the Thing was perfect, but this one looked like literally a turd. Like, it was... Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck? Horrible. Like, I don't know what they was doing.
The last one with Michael Chiklis, which is an actor from back in the days, he played it perfectly. The prosthetics, because again, like everybody knows, it's better to go practical rather than special effects. But you're right, the new one was just pure CGI and almost looked like literally like a turd. It was like like you said, he's meant to be a rock, but instead of just like a big ass piece of shit. That's like the movie. It represented it perfectly. Now the whole thing is that I know about this movie is like mad things that happen behind the scenes. If you saw the first trailer that came out to this movie, there were mad scenes that were cut out. You actually see the piece of shit thing come out a plane like at the sky, and then you just see him land in front of like mad soldiers, and it starts out a fight. That entire scene wasn't in the movie. They cut out like 40 minutes of action scenes. Basically, they took the movie from the director, this dude called Josh Trank, and they cut the movie apart, and what we got was, again, like a half-assed movie, something stitched together literally like the Fan Four Stick name. And yeah, it was, to me, definitely one of the worst Marvel movies of all time.
And you know why it really pissed me off? Because of the actors they had on there. Like, you had Miles Teller, and then you had
Michael B. Jordan.
And they didn't do nothing with that. They let that opportunity go to waste.
But this is one thing. I mean, another reason why that movie was already a problem is, one thing is, Fantastic Four. I'm getting stuck with that name. Fantastic Four from the comic books represents either two things to a lot of people. It's either going into family, your family, motherfucking Vin Diesel style, and it's all about that. It's about the dynamic of like the brother, the sibling, and the best friend while this couple is married. So it's dealing with that four people dynamic. Instead, there's other people that love the sci-fi, going into the stars and going into space type of story. This one was trying to be that because it was trying to be a horror movie with this whole sci-fi. But they threw away the family because even though, like you say in the cast, I like the cast.
Yeah.
But it's like these young people.
Exactly.
They're not really, even adults. It's more of that That's what Human Torch represents. He's that young, naive, stubborn, impulsive person. But then you got four characters that represent that. So it already feels weird as shit. But not just that. Then it's about family, but they only have like maybe one or two scenes together. Like they don't even deal with that dynamic. It's this weird ass movie that is just stitched together to be a fucking Frankenstein of a piece of shit.
And I'm not gonna lie, like I said, the beginning movies, like the ones that in 2004 and things like that, they weren't, like I said, they weren't amazing. But
they
like,
work more with the family dynamic. They have to capture it better.
Because like the thing with I like how they did the thing with like he was like married or something.
Yeah, the second one, it was with actually a famous actress. For some reason I can't remember first name right now, but her last name is Washington. Yeah, she plays a blind character and it's dope. And even that, to be honest, that's where, even though it was, you see, they did a good job there, but part one dealt with the family. Part two, even though they worked good with that, they even brought Silver Surfer, they did separate the family too much, and that's why the second one, a lot of people don't talk about. The first one and the second one is produced, not executive produced, but produced by Kevin Feige, the dude that's put together the MCU. So, I mean, he definitely had the right footing, and it was like the first stage of like where movies should go. But clearly, at that time, which is I think like 2000, they didn't know what to do. Jessica Alba, I mean, I love Jessica Alba, but
Jessica Alba.
Seriously, I used to have posters when I was younger. But total miscast. Same thing as in the new movie, the female. If you watch the movie, you can see how that shit is stitched together because there's scenes where she's wearing a wig that looks completely different than the hair that she has the rest of the movie. It's like 1 second later, she got this fake ass wig. That movie just fell apart no matter what. So again, no matter what, the one you're talking about had elements, even though some of the characters, the actors didn't go perfectly. The new one, nothing went well. I mean, I would hope the MCU, now that they're trying to do it, and if they actually get John Krasinski like they had in, if you see in Multiverse of Madness, they kind of teased Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic again. Other than that, there's a little bit of hope there because that movie was garbage.
I love who they have for Mr. Fantastic.
Yes.
I love who they had, man.
If they keep him, because that's the one thing that makes me worry, is that they're actually saying that he might not be the guy. That because they only use that for fandom because everybody wanted him so badly, but then they killed him off in that movie, and they're talking about that might not even bring him back. So that's why I'm saying I'm a little worried there. But he is the perfect casting. And then his wife, Emily Blunt, if you know her, she would be perfect as Miss Invisible. So I actually think then they should get if we're going into this route, they should get John Cena as the Thing. Ooh. He literally, even his facial structure already has literally the stone and the Rock look, not like the Rock. Yeah. I'm talking about a Rock look. Because even back in the days, I would have said The Rock, and just playing into it too, he would have been good too. But no, John Cena. And then I would say,
what's the Invisible lady's name?
Sue Summers.
Like her superhero name.
Miss Invisible.
Only if Miss
Invisible Woman.
Miss Invisible was Mr. Invisible, because John Cena can't see me. It would have been perfect. It would have been perfect.
And then Human Torch is a few different people you could say, but yeah, that movie, I would tell everybody to run away from it no matter what. Even the director, because of the problems, he literally the next day after that movie came out, he went online and basically said, "Don't watch the movie." So if he's saying it, then
yeah,
take the cue, look.
Everybody should have heeded his warnings.
Exactly,
because that shit was a piece of dog shit. All right, what's the next movie? Next movie?
Now, I did say before a second ago to you behind the scenes another. Oh yeah, there we go. If we're gonna stay on Marvel, then we're going into 2007, I believe. We're going into Spider-Man 3.
Oh man.
Where Tobey Maguire is playing. Like for some reason, his version of Venom it's kind of makes sense if you think of it in a real perspective, like a nerd trying to be cool, he wouldn't just become cool all of a sudden. He wouldn't know what the fuck it is to be cool. So at the end of the day, his version of it is almost like this jazzy dude that is walking the streets, almost like moving like this, and then looking at girls. And even the girls are looking at him like, what's wrong with you? So meaning the movie's telling you this dude doesn't know what the fuck it is. But that's the problem. The movie doesn't know what it is either. The Venom that they brought in with Topher Grace from... You seen this movie, right?
Yeah, I've seen
Topher Grace, if you know from the 70s show, the nerdy skinny dude, which there's a version of Eddie Brock that is like that in the Ultimates. But the one that we really want is more like what we got now recently with Tom Hardy. You know what I'm saying? We want more of that, New Yorker, fucking, brolic, brutish, you know what I'm saying, bully. And instead we got this nerdy guy that was in love with what's her name? Things love interest always, which that was also another thing. If you know, like his main love interest is the blonde Gwen Stacy. They only brought her back in that movie almost like a side love interest where he was almost like trying to cheat on Mary Jane, and it was a piece of crap.
Yeah, and on top of that too, I feel like in that movie they had so much shit going on. Like, oh, he's fighting Venom, then he's fighting Sandman. Who else was in that movie too?
Yeah, he's fighting Venom, he's fighting Sandman, he's fighting...
what's it called? The Green Goblin Jr.
Like, yes, exactly. What they were trying to say is Hobgoblin with James Franco, where at the end of the day he's canceled in real life now, and in that movie basically was... Because, he was there for no reason.
I felt like if they would have took like a solid like storyline with Venom versus Spider-Man, it would have played out perfectly, because it was just too many fights, too many things happening.
I'm gonna tell you this though, it's funny because every movie we kind of bringing up as examples, I know that they're all problems behind the scenes. Like I tell you, the one with the issue with the director before. When it comes to this one, the director that's done all the movies, Sam Raimi, he had been trying to push Vulture, who we got finally as Michael Keaton, but he was trying to get John Malkovich since the first movie to be Vulture, and Malkovich. He was trying to get him to basically be the Vulture since the first movie, but the studio was kind of like, yo, what is this old ass man character? Nobody's gonna want to buy the toys and blah blah blah. So they kind of forced him to take on Venom, a character he wasn't a fan of since he's like old, and Venom is like 90s, 80s, ooh, not that old, but he's someone that literally read it from like the 60s and 70s, I would say 60s, 70s, not to put him that old. And at the end, he didn't understand the character, so what he did with it was kind of like half-assed, stitched together, and it's shown. Like, you know what I'm saying? Every movie we're going to talk about, ultimately, the reason why they're a piece of shit, this is a piece of crap, the last one we talked about was a piece of shit, was because something happened behind the scenes. The studio didn't trust them, or whatever the case may be. It kind of fucked up.
Yeah, and you know what's funny too? Like,
Tobey Maguire was dope.
Oh yeah, as bad as Spider-Man 3 was, it's still a movie I can go back to and watch because it's part of my childhood. But the Fantastic Four movie fucking sucked. Like, I would never ever want to go back to relive that experience.
See, that's the whole thing. Like, I won't even make it into a conversation. Another movie I just thought of was X-Men 3. Piece of crap, bringing in a whole new director, causing a problem. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is that all the movies I could only think of Marvel, none of them are really the MCU. You see, the MCU, there are movies that we could say that are the worst in the MCU, but even their worst is still watchable. In comparison to the ones we're bringing up now. X-Men 3, Last Stand, that's literally the last stand I had for fucking X-Men. I had to walk out. This one, now we're talking about Fan 4 stick, piece of shit stick, and then, of course, now Spider-Man 3, a reason why they had to revamp and start over. None of these are MCU movies. That's why when I thought of Marvel, I couldn't think of MCU. Clearly, anybody watching this should know what I'm talking about. What's the difference between the two?
So we can agree that Fantastic Four, piece of shit, and then Spider-Man 3, just bad.
Just bad. Yeah, exactly. In truth, it's because it's a Sam Raimi, and it's just... The problem is that anybody that was watching a trilogy is the worst of the trilogy.
Yeah.
So in that point, you're comparing it to the other two previous movies. So when you're comparing it, it's really bad. But as a standalone movie in comparison to Fantastic Four and to, the X-Men 3, it's more watchable. Even though X-Men 3 is part of the trilogy, but that's a piece of shit. Now going into DC, You had a DC example? Or
Oh yeah, I had a DC example. Like this movie. Like I'll say again. Like I could probably go back and watch it, but I didn't like it. Like, and it's the Green Lantern with my man. What's my main man's name?
No, Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
No, at the end of the day, this is an example of like the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
so no,
it was bad. Like it was bad from the CGI to the whole movie. But on top of that, at the time I was young, so like I loved like Justice League, the cartoons. So I was expecting a John Stewart film, and I was waiting for it. And I got this, and it was
because
bad.
you got Hal Jordan, because Hal Jordan is the first. A lot of times, just like the cartoons, John Stewart, which they're doing a new show now, they were going to do a Hal Jordan again, and they're like, no, we need a John Stewart, so now they're going to focus on John Stewart, which is what it should have been from the get. You're 100% right. The funny thing is that Hal Jordan, if I'm saying it right, I think it's Hal Jordan, his character is mad serious. They brought in Ryan Reynolds, which is a goofball, a great actor, and he ended, the perfect Deadpool. Which again, the reason why this example holds up is because even he hates the movie and dissed the shit out of it in all the Deadpool movies. He wasn't the right choice. They actually were thinking about Bradley Cooper, and it went down to them two.
That would have been.
If then it would have been a different tone of a movie, but probably the one that works better. It's actually a really great director, and something that I didn't realize, dog, is that because he wasn't really known at the time, his best friend, I remember watching the movie and being like, who is this guy? And now, years later, since he looks so different, I didn't even remember until having to read into it. It's actually Taika Waititi is his best friend in the movie. If you know, Taika Waititi is the director of Ragnarok, Thor, Love and Thunder. He's the one that was in the movie about What We Do in the Shadows, and now is the producer of the show. He actually acts as Blackbeard in that pirate show that he has on HBO. So, and then he was if you saw did you watch Free Guy?
Of course.
That's the reason I'm bringing it up. That's how I found out, because they actually make the joke like, how is it to work together for the first time? And then you see the other actors go, but hold on, you guys did something together. You guys did that action comic book movie. And like, oh no, we never did that piece of crap, because it was that bad. But yeah, Taika Waititi, the villain, he's his best friend in Green Lantern. He has mad scenes. He's nerdy with glasses and like longer hair. Again, that didn't fit for him. It didn't fit for Ryan Reynolds. We going full circle, dog. Because if you know about that movie, the villain in the movie, everybody talks about what was the worst part about it. That the villain ends up becoming this big cloud, this brown cloud at the end, and everybody was like, "Yo, it literally looks like a big piece of shit in the sky, in space." It's full circle, dog. Everything is a piece of shit.
Full circle from the Fantastic Four shit to Green Lantern. There's always shit somewhere.
So yeah, no, that movie, terrible. Had potential, had great actors, but even the actors in it dissed the fuck out of it. So yeah, cut that off. Now, one that I was gonna bring up, to me, there's really two DC movies. One of more like back in the days, one of the new era. The one from back in the days is Batman and Robin. Literally, the one motherfucker with George Clooney as Batman. The only person that came back, because it's the same director that was trying to be more of. You seen this one, right? You seen this? Or is it, you just said Matt Long, right?
Yeah, Matt
That's
Long.
The whole thing. That's how old it is. I think like 98, 97 maybe. It literally competed against the Julia Roberts movie, and that movie did better than the movie did at the time, I remember. This movie had Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, where it's like he's supposed to be a scientific genius. I don't want to diss Arnold Schwarzenegger and hate on him too much, but even as when he was, the governor, I don't think he really played it off as that smart.
Exactly. So, and on top of that too, like I think who you told me that Bane was?
Bane is not famous, but he's like a side character, a guy that literally doesn't speak. That once we see him as like this scrawny dude, and then he's injected, and he just becomes like the foot soldier that Poison Ivy orders around. So physically, he kind of looks a little similar to the comic book, but ultimately, he's nothing to what we know him as.
Yeah.
Well, we know, even going back full circle about Tom Hardy playing Venom. He's the one that played Bane. He didn't play it like the Brazilian dope version we should have gotten, but he was dope. If you saw, he was more psychological. He was more getting into Batman's head. He wasn't this brute that literally just stood there and went, like on some Hulk or.
Like I felt like they definitely miscasted. Like they should have put Arnold Schwarzenegger as main man as Bane.
Yes, exactly, Bane. If you're gonna get deeper, if we're gonna get deep, I remember back in the days. everybody wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to be Colossus. This is like in the late 80s, 90s. That would have been dope. And this is when actually people were talking about like Robert De Niro as Wolverine, which is crazy to think of. There was a comic book back in the days called Wizard that used to break shit down, and it was because of the movie Cape Fear that Robert De Niro kind of looked and acted like a Wolverine type character. But anyway, that movie did not work. That's a movie where literally George Clooney at one point they're like, "Yo, that's gonna cost a lot of money," and he goes, "Don't worry, put it on the Batman card," and it's like a Visa black card, and it's like it was one of those movies that things if you know. The Adam West 60s Batman, the one that was like, pow, ow, boom, bang. You know, that whole corniness. It was meant to be corny. And that was the perfect example of that. But the problem is...
That's not what they were aiming for.
Exactly. No, that's actually what they were aiming for, but it was just too corny for even, you know, like there's corn, there's a level of like a thin layer, a line. If you cross over, it's like, doesn't work. And they fell over the fucking line and fucking fell to the, you know, like fucking fell off the cliff.
They flew a whole plane across
exactly.
the line.
Batman fucking, no. He went over into the moon and then crescently fell down and crashed and died. Piece of crap. Now, the other one that I was going to bring up was Suicide Squad. The funny thing is that movie had a little, the one I'm just talking about, the only thing that really had a problem behind the scenes was Val Kilmer didn't want to come back or Thing didn't want to bring him back. So Batman and Robin is actually an example of a piece of shit of a movie that actually did exactly what it was trying to do, but did it so badly. The other movie I want to talk about was Suicide Squad, where in that movie, that ended up being something completely different than what they intended. I'm talking about, you know, the Jared Leto.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. As much as like, and I know
tattoos.
it's crazy how much dedication Jared Leto had to the role for the movie still to come out as a piece of shit. Well, like it was like I don't know, his character specifically just rubbed me the wrong way. I did not like it at all, like at all.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. This movie is an example again. Problems behind the scenes. The director, which is David Ayers, he's done movies like End of Watch. His movies are more grittier. He tries to make movies more like this grounded type of thing. So he wanted a very grounded, dark comic book movie since you're dealing with bad guys anyway. So he filmed it to be more dramatic. Then Guardians of the Galaxy came out during this time, and people loved it because the music and how fun it was, and woo, and it's like, yo, this is this band of like anti-heroes, and then look how they're playing, and then, you know, it's smooth and perfect. So when they try to market Suicide Squad, they actually hired these people to just edit a commercial, and in the commercial they decided to put music and make it pop and make it fun, like Guardians of the Galaxy. And people loved it because they're like, yo, another Guardians is coming out. Then what happened? The freaking studio goes, you know what? We're going to take that movie you made that's serious and we're going to take it away from you. Give it to the people that only edit commercials and give it to them to edit it and put music. And then what came out of it is like this long, weird commercial that doesn't have a tone and keeps going back and forth, and it's just awkward because it's not people that edit movies. They edit things that are like 2 or 3 minutes long. So again, which is funny because in the next one, if you guys ever saw The Suicide Squad, which was like a reboot, the one that came out recently, did you watch it?
I watched it.
Love that.
Fire.
So my point is, they tried to make what they had into a James Gunn movie. It didn't work. So what they do, they got smart. They just hired James Gunn for the second movie. But this one fucking fell apart because it wasn't that. If you even see, you know, it's that movie that has that 90s feel that you literally see Will Smith look at them and go, what are we? A Suicide Squad? That thing worked in the 90s. Maybe early 2000s. But that thing of like saying the title in the movie, that's that level of corn that I'm talking about that's crossed over. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that movie actually had a lot of great actors like Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, love her. Dope cast, and that's why they were able to reboot it. Because they could work with what was there. But that's an example. And my bad, when you're talking about Jared Leto, again, because they came in and edited, they didn't want it to be rated R no more like it was going to be. Originally, Jared Leto is meant to be the example of like almost not the cartoon, because realize Harley Quinn is a character made from the cartoons. It's not even, she wasn't originally a comic book character. So our favorite like Mark Hamill cartoon version is the one that invented her, which he was basically like an abusive boyfriend. And that's what they were really trying to go with. So there's mad scenes that got cut out that is showing more Jared Leto be that abusive boyfriend. Literally in one scene, he literally hits her in the face with like a fucking like clocks her, fucking gun cocks her in the fucking face with a magnum at one point. And he's just showing craziness. And there's mad scenes that got cut out because it was cutting to that extreme of like, no, I'm just the abusive boyfriend that you gotta, I'm toxic and you need to run away from me.
Talking about, you want to see my tits?
Exactly. Exactly. Want to know where I got these scars? No, that's my dude. That's my dude. I know. Trust me, I did it on purpose. Yeah. This one is, damn, I forgot some of my favorite lines with this dude. He's like, honka honka.
Oh, man.
Things like that. And even the scene where he kills Common, which is another comic book character, they had actually cut around because he does something else that's more like an abusive boyfriend. And it was going to be dope. Instead, it's just this, they ended up making it one scene where he's just a jealous boyfriend that shoots a dude in the head.
Oh,
wow,
man.
That's like every other fucking jealous boyfriend. No, you got Joker. You got to fucking take it to the extreme and do it in the best way possible. That movie was a terrible example of any of that. I thought. What was the other example of movie that's now outside of the comic books? Because those two.
Yeah, we're out of the comic books and we're going to the. This is the only category that we have of this movie, but it's an anime related movie. Yes. And personally, this is one of the animes that I grew up on heavy.
One of the greatest.
One of the greatest. It's literally the first anime that got me into like my whole little binge session of animes. Is Dragon Ball Z, and the movie that we're referring to is Dragon Ball Evolution. And I'm sorry, like no way possible can you bring this movie back from the dirt. It sucked in every way possible. They try to take like something from Japanese like culture type shit and make it American. It was horrible.
Yeah, it's the purest example of that. Whereas the adaptation is like it's like to a degree if you know Super Mario Brothers, where to me that's so bad that it's good.
Yeah. With
John Leguizamo and Bob Hopkins, rest in peace, a great actor. The perfect Super Mario. That movie is another example of like how America would take a crazy world where you can't translate into like what we live in. So instead, they just adapted into what we live in. Now you look at the new Super Mario Bros. Cartoon, you see that they're going into this crazy world with the blocks and all this craziness, and it's like, oh, that translates. Instead of it being like, no, that's still, these dudes are like, my fault, are dinosaurs and stupid shit like that. Same thing in Evolution. Instead of him being, he is an alien, but it's shown so much in that high school level of just mediocrity, of regularness, of him just being grounded in high school and dealing with that nonsense, rather than ever really propelling to like the potential of where that story could go.
Exactly. And the biggest atrocity in this movie is how they did my man's Piccolo. Oh my God. Piccolo looked like a cabbage, bro. It was horrible.
Now the crazy thing is the actor that they got is my dude Spike from like Buffy, and he's actually done a lot of dope shit. But yeah, in this movie, terrible, like horrible. Just the worst. And you know that it's dealing with like the very early example of the comic book where it's him coming to face off with him and everything. Like that's the focus rather than Vegeta or anything like that. But no, this movie in every sense of the word, no. It had Michael Chai Fat, one of the best like action actors from movies like The Killer and all these things, being like I forgot this dude's name, the old man mentor, where he's playing like a very character.
Talking about Master Roshi.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, bro.
Again, they could get so much better. And thank you. You actually made me realize another movie that we have to bring up that is in this category. So if we need more, I don't know if there's anything else really needed to be said about this that deserves to be said.
I just gotta say,
it doesn't deserve that much time.
Like even the actor for Goku and shit, and the actor for is it Bulma? Was it no? Who is it? What's her name? Bulma, right?
Bulma the blue hair.
Yeah, Bulma.
Oh,
it's they're both from Shameless.
I was about to say
both
this.
From Shameless.
Yes.
And
like, they both love interest to each other in Shameless.
Yeah. So
and I love them in that show, but in this, it's like what?
It just took everything out of like the whole anime that made it special. Their relationship and everything. If you know, like Goku and Bulma are supposed to be like little brother, big sister type shit, or like I don't know, something like that. But in this John is like so like twisted and like I
It was pointless because they didn't go anywhere. The story didn't show enough. It was like this is literally like a prequel of like episode 1 of what you would see in a show, and it getting to not even the end of the first episode of where it's supposed to go. It was that basic and propelled nowhere, and just a piece of crap in every sense of the word. The special effects, the fighting, because we're not really dealing with people that know how to fight. So of course, the choreography is the worst for a show that we're talking about. Literally, Goku is like the Superman of comics, is going Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
He's literally like when they compare, he's that. So when you're thinking of comic books and then anime, and then we get this. Now the other movie I was gonna say, unless there's something more you want to.
That's
because to me it's like that was the longest. That was even longer than that movie deserves to be spoken about. That was longer than what the screenwriter took to write or talk about it with the director of what they were trying to do. The other movie is...
I think I know what you're going to say. Can I predict it?
What?
Are you going to say Death Note?
No. That's a great one. That's a great one. But to me, there's something else even worse. Avatar: The Last Airbender, which of course is just called Last Airbender because there's the Avatar movies. Again, you take this... one of the greatest cartoons, because it is like cartoon / anime since made here in America, so it's that's a whole other debate. But it's meant to be anime style, and one of the dopest stories, dopest characters. It understands how they feed off of each other. One character is serious, but the other one is the comic relief. Everything balanced like it should be. All things balanced.
Yeah.
And it works so well on the cartoon. One of the best, and I'm not talking about Korra and all that is dope too, but the first 3 books, now they're talking about going to make a 4th finally, which is going to be awesome with Aang. Awesome. You give it to M. Night Shyamalan. Shyamalinglang. The problem with him, and that's not disrespect to his culture, that's just he doesn't even deserve as a director to remember his name anymore. Dope first 3 movies. We're talking, of course, Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and Signs, which I love. Since then, he's lost. He's literally like, The Village and what was that movie with Science with Mark Wahlberg. But you guys gotta like science. I forgot right now. It's not even worth remembering the name. My point is, this guy doesn't know humor. There isn't a movie in his wheelhouse that it has humor, has that tone of like balance. They're all serious. Signs was funny because you have Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix doing funny things in improv. But that's not on the page. You give it to him, and you turn this movie into all serious characters, all brooding, teenagers, all with the serious to the point dialogue and lessons and and lectures to be told. Worst piece of shit of a movie also. And then at the end, because again, for some reason in his mind it's for kids, he builds a climax to when Aang does some crazy shit that you're like, yo, Aang, sometimes you gotta watch out for, you don't know. He's like this kid, but it can go dark because since, he's an airbender. He's he's the Avatar. He doesn't even do it. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, the crashing of the wave, he doesn't even do it. So it's building up to this moment, he doesn't even do it.
And you know what sucks too?
And then whitewashing with the actors.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up. The crazy shit about it, they had, like, in the show, they had, like, such a crazy, like, little, like, if you know, you know, like,
different cultures.
Yeah, like, I think the airbenders are supposed to be monks. Obviously, the water tribe was Eskimos. Mm-hmm. And then I think the earth thing was Imperial China. Or maybe it's, and then I think the fire is isn't it Japan?
I think the fire is Imperial China.
Yeah, and then I don't remember what the Earth, but bro, they had like a crazy.
I'll say because China with the red and the dragon and the blah blah blah. And even if you think of like how they are, the way that they think and all that imperialism, it reads through. No, that's dope and deep. But instead, what we got, we're all white people.
White people, and then they just made the Fire Nation, I think, Indian, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It just made no sense to the story. Like, it made no sense. Like, everything that they built around it, they just like completely was like, nah, fuck that. We're not using that. It's insane.
That has so much potential. Unfortunately, they're doing a Netflix show, and I say unfortunately because you see the people that created the cartoons, they were attached to that movie, and they regret compromising over and over and over
Exactly.
again. So then they wanted to do a TV show, and they were going to do it with these people on Netflix, and they're like, no, now we're not going to get to compromise. But then like a year later, they leave the project, I'm assuming, because they had to compromise.
Oh, man.
So to me, I'm worried about what's going to come. This is actually, like, if you remember 2 years ago when the wave hit of, like, Last Airbender showing up on Netflix, and everybody started watching. Now that it was on Netflix, everybody knew what it was, even though we knew when it came out. Even your dad knew when it came out. And at the end of the day, it's like that's when they got the rights, so everybody was all hopeful, and that's what they were setting up, like the new TV show, which is still coming. And they actually have casted more based on the right, ethnic backgrounds and all that, ethnicities. But at the end of the day, that just because you do that, that's still, that's low on what they have to get right. That's still one of the main things, but not the highest. They want to bring up horrors or movies that I really don't focus on, because to me, the writing is always lazy. It's jump scares. It's like an easy way people, the movie, people, you know what I'm saying? It's a great date movie because Shorty's going, But other than that, writing, if you're sitting there to actually want to watch a movie, there's only a few good ones, which I won't bring up. We could talk about that in my video about the best movies. But one that I will bring up here that wasn't really meant to be a horror, but for some reason they turned it into like a crime drama horror, was this movie called Exposed, that is with Keanu Reeves and one of my favorite actresses, Ana de Armas. And, she's just played Marilyn Monroe in the movie Blonde. She's in the last Bond movie. She's dope. This movie she decided to do, which unfortunately you haven't seen, so unfortunately you're quiet over here for now. So I'll be telling it quick fast. This is a movie where it was meant to be more psychological. The director actually took his name off the movie. There's this thing where you give like a different name that is very famous that people use when a director goes, nah, I don't even want my name on this because what they ended up doing with this movie, I don't want to be associated with it. That's what happened here. So again, it's going on the theme of where they mess with shit behind the scenes. Same thing here. Basically, it was meant to be this more psychological movie, and it had Keanu Reeves. But when the studio saw that Keanu Reeves is only in the movie for a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes, they decided to cut the entire movie around him and take what they had and make a movie somehow that way. So my point is that we were watching this movie, and I was literally like, this only makes sense if some crazy shit happened behind the scenes. The movie, you're introduced to Shorty. She goes into the train station, and she's just standing there. And then all of a sudden, she sees this guy that's all white makeup, like this, like pure white face, pale, almost albino, but on some weird, crazy level, almost all dressed in white. And he's looking at her, and he has like these pale eyes. And then he's just looking at her and just walks on the train tracks, but like walking in thin air where there's no train, just standing there. Turns around and looks at her, and then walks back off. And then she gets on the train as he's still looking at her, and she just goes by as he's still watching her. And she's like, what the fuck is going on? And she starts to tell everybody how she basically met an angel because she's mad religious. And all this, she believes it's an angel. And her husband, who's Dominicano, because she's in Washington Heights, is off at war, and he dies. And she tells the family, but don't worry, God gave me a blessing because I'm pregnant. And they're like, what do you mean? But he's been gone for more than like 9 months. It doesn't make sense. And she's like, but God made this possible, and he's the father. So the family literally throws her out the crib, Dominican family being like, you crazy. Like, you cheated on him. Get the fuck out of my house. And she's forced back to go to the house. While this is all happening, someone got murdered in that train station that night. And that's what Keanu Reeves is dealing with. He's dealing with, like, trying to figure out who murdered his ex-partner, who he knows is corrupt. And then he's having scenes with this other famous actress where she's like, in one scene, she's like, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. And then the next scene, she's trying to sleep with him. And it's just some crazy, weird-ass shit because, like I told you, they have to piece together this movie. And at the end, you end up finding out she keeps seeing these angels everywhere and this craziness and all this. And at the end, you find out, because she had to go back home since she got thrown out, if you pay attention, you realize she murders her father. because you find out that her father was molesting her when she was a child.
Man.
And she went crazy in that way and like blocked it out. And that night, while she was in the train station, that detective that is corrupt, he was drunk and tried to her and raped her.
Oh man.
And she killed him. So all the scenes that we're seeing, like with the angel and the white dude, none of that happened. This is how she interpreted that moment. And the reason why she's pregnant is because she was raped from that dude. And like I said, now she killed her father because of it. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's this movie where, again, it's meant to be dramatic, it's meant to be horror, it's meant to be all these things. And it just goes into this like, oh no, it's just this. And it's like her bugging, standing there. She doesn't meet Keanu Reeves until the very end of the movie where now she's murdered her father and he comes in. And it's like, oh yeah, we knew about who you really killed, but I didn't want to bother you. It's just this weird movie, man. And I don't know if this was the place to go to end the video because, again, it's meant to be in this awkwardness of movies. This movie is the most awkward, weird movie ever. Like, I almost want to walk away from this conversation of talking about this movie as much as the director wanted to take his name off of it. So I would tell you guys to watch it, but I don't want you to watch it. It's a waste of your time because it's a waste of my time. But I just want to tell you about it. It's called Exposed, and it had to be exposed for it. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all already know, man. Come on. We're gonna rank the worst movies for y'all,
exactly.
so y'all don't have to watch it.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I wasted my time, so you don't have to.
But if y'all want to know some of the best movies to watch, y'all could go down to my man's channel right here.
Yeah,
watch it, Ralph.
Basics.
I'll be on there. You'll see a couple familiar faces on there. You're gonna love it. And also, tune in to Stains World if you want to see more movies you should avoid, or more content about food, or more content about whatever. But we live, baby. We're going to talk to you later. And to watch part 2, tune in to Watch It, Ralph, man. Let's get it.